honored to invite UN Special Envoy for Global Education, Right Honorable Gordon Brown, to deliver his remarks on transforming global finance in education. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all say thank you to all those who've organized this great event this weekend. This is the biggest single education event this century, and I want to thank all of you for being part of it. And I want to thank the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Deputy Secretary General Amina for putting education at the top of the agenda for our future. Thank you, the United Nations. And I also want to thank everybody here representing all the organizations you do, because the message that education has to be for all is reverberating today right across the world. And if I just give you one example, the Let Me Learn campaign, and there are posters right around New York, now tells me that by Thursday they'd reached 600 million people, and by today they've now surpassed 1 billion people listening to the message, Let Me Learn, that is coming from young people. And the reason why there is now momentum behind education is that we face a crisis that is unparalleled in education in recent times. We have a food crisis, we have an energy crisis, we have an inflation crisis, we still have a COVID crisis, we have a climate crisis. But one of the longest standing crises is the failure to educate millions of children to a decent standard of education. And today it is an absolute scandal that there are still 260 million school-aged children not going to school. It is unacceptable that there are 400 million children who cannot read or write and leave education at the age of 11 without these skills. And it is also a scandal that there are 840 million of our fellow citizens, young people, who leave education without the qualifications for the workplace. And it is this scandal, this crisis, that we are seeking to overcome today. And I want us first to speak up from this meeting and from this weekend for the millions of schoolgirls in Afghanistan. They have been denied the right to education for a year. They've been denied the right to education simply because they are girls. We must send a message from here that every single girl in the world has a right to education, and no government should ever deny it. And I want to also speak up for the young people of Ukraine, because the devastation and despair there is something that you can witness firsthand on your television screens. And we've got to say that the reconstruction of Ukraine can never be complete without the reconstruction of education, and that we must provide the resources so that every single person in that country who is a young person has also the right to education. And I want to speak up too for the young people of Pakistan, because you can see from the photographs and the pictures on television that Pakistan is underwater in so many different parts of that country. And not only are 25 million girls and boys previously unable to get education, but there are another 20 million who are being denied the right to go to school because schools are closed as a result of the floods. And we must say that we will support the children and young people of Pakistan so that they have their right to education too. And I do want to say also that we must speak up for the millions of refugees and displaced young people in every part of the world. Never before have we seen so many young refugees and so many young people displaced as a result of conflict, as a result of climate change, as a result of poverty. And we must send a message that if education is to be universal, then every single person who is displaced and refugee must also have the chance to have a decent education. And that's what this summit on Monday is about. And it's because of all these problems and all these challenges that today the Secretary General of the United Nations met with representatives from donor countries, representatives from countries that are in need of resources for education, representatives of the Asian and African Development Bank, and he agreed, and we have set up a new international finance facility for education. Now, this is the first time we have had an international finance facility for education. What it means is that the rich countries will guarantee resources so that we can finance education in the poorer countries. What it means that $2 billion will be provided for education in the next few months and years, and that sum will rise to $5 billion and then $10 billion, and that is the biggest single public investment that education in the global sense has ever had. And I ask you to welcome this new facility approved by the Secretary General. And the biggest beneficiaries of this facility will be out-of-school children in many, many countries around the world where there are 700 million children who need our help. And the second biggest beneficiaries of this will be refugees and displaced children who education cannot wait is helping, but we need to do far more now. You know, when you look around the world, hope dies when refugee boats capsize and people's lives are lost at sea. Hope dies when food convoys can't get through to besieged towns that we read about and see about on television. But you know, hope also dies when young people with all their life ahead of them are denied the chance of education, are denied the chance to plan and prepare for the future. And it is our job to be ambassadors of hope for young people right across the world. Because hope can come alive when young girls like Amoeba in one of the African countries who has been forced into child labor is released from child labor and is allowed for the first time to be able to go to school. Hope comes alive when girls who are forced into early marriage are said and told that they can now go to school and are not going to be slaves in that sense. And hope comes alive when girls and boys who have been trafficked are now set free and given the chance and the right to an education for the first time. And it is our job over these next few days to send a message out to the whole world that we should no longer deny education the resources it needs to give every single young man and woman in the world the chance of education. We must become the first generation in history where every single boy and every single girl has the right to go to school. Instead of developing some of the talents of some of the children in some of the countries, we must commit ourselves to developing all the talents of all young people in every country. That is our mission, that is our task, that's our opportunity, that's our chance. Let's go ahead and do it.